solving by completing the square. Earlier we solved by factoring. We're going to do something called completing the square. And here's how it works. You simply are going to add something to both sides so that you get a perfect square trinomial over here. And the key then is you don't want it equal to 0. You actually want it so you have x squared and x and the number over here, and you want to add something to both sides. Now, figuring out what to add to both sides, it's a little process. What you do is you take that number and you take it, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. You take the b value, half it, and square it. That looks like it's going to be 4 squared, which is 16. So you're going to put 16 there and there. We're going to add 16 to both sides. So again, you take b, divide it by 2, and square it. Now what you do is you factor this. When you factor this, you get 16 on top, 8 on bottom. And when you factor it, you'll notice you get, 4 and 4? So we have x plus 4 times x plus 4. And 6 plus 16 looks like it's going to be 22. Okay. I could write this as squared. It's called completing the square. Do you see how we just made a nice square thing? Now, why would I do that? Well, remember we talked about earlier we can get rid of squares by square rooting? So if I square root both sides, don't forget plus or minus, I now have x almost by itself. Square root of both sides. Now if I simply do minus the 4 over, I got x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 22. That's actually my answer. There's two answers here. If you had a calculator, you could actually find the value. But this is a number. You just need a calculator to calculate it. But you can leave it like that. That is simplified. You can leave it like that. Let's try this process again. Now the first thing with completing the square is you need to move this over. Because what happens is you need to get it looking like this. You need to have a blank there and a blank there. You're going to have to add something to both sides. And since this was here, you have to move it over so you have a blank. Okay, really important that you get that blank. How do you find that blank? Again, you take this value, you half it. Again, you take this value, you half it, and then you square it. So it looks like negative 3 squared, which is 9. Then you put it in both those spots. You add it to both sides, because you can always add something to both sides. We now factor this. So when we factor that, it looks like 9 and negative 6, which looks like negative 3 and negative 3. So x minus 3 equals what? 2 plus 9 is 11. Oh, yeah, like over here we can make this x minus 3 squared. If you do this factoring and adding the right number, it'll always become something squared. That's why it's called completing the square. You completed a perfect square. It's kind of cool. Okay, get rid of the square. The opposite of a square is a square root. So when I square root both sides, oops, that should be a minus 3 equals positive or negative 11. And to finish this, I got to add the 3 over. So x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 11. Just like over here, same type of answer. You could actually put this in a calculator. 3 plus square root of 11 and 3 minus square root of 11. Get two different decimal answers.